What's going on YouTube? Mike here with I Heart Knives, and in this video we're going to be doing a quick sharpening with the Shapton Glass 500, the Kramer Zwilling 1000 grit. Then I'm just going to do a quick stropping on the Chromium Oxide Kangaroo leather strop that I had done. That was the video on how to load Chromox for Robert, I think it was for. Anyway, the knife that I'm using is hand forged. It's 1084. It's heat treated to about 59 to 60 Rockwell. The knife tested 64 HRC out of heat treat, and then the temper theoretically should have brought it down to about 59. For Christmas, I had received a gift from basically all my family went in on knife making classes for me. So this past weekend I took this class, which was a beginner, like an intro forging class with someone who competed in Forged in Fire and took second place. The place is called Dragon's Breath Forge, so anybody who's in Connecticut or in the area, I highly recommend going there. They're pretty well known. I think everybody that works there or worked there has competed on Forged in Fire, and most of them took first place and actually won the show. So the instructor that I had, Matt Parkinson, you can look up his work. He's really, really talented. He's incredibly gifted in Damascus, and all the guys there, just their level of skill is pretty unbelievable. But this is just a simple 1084 steel. I wanted to show how easy it can be sharpened, and when it's heat treated well, how easily it deburrs. 1084 is a very easily sharpened steel. It does rust, but it's pretty reliable and pretty easy to heat treat. It has good edge toughness, so it's not going to chip that easily. Actually, one of the tests that he did was he hammered the knife tip into a steel table. It was a 1/4 inch piece of steel that was on the table, and there's absolutely no deformation to the tip. I mean, geometry has a lot to do with it too, but it was ground pretty thin when he did it, so it was pretty impressive. Anyways, getting into sharpening, started with 500 grit, killed the original edge that I had put on it. So after getting a burr on the Shapton Glass 500 on one side, I ended up flipping to the other side, and you know, it's a very very self-explanatory process that I've gone through on all my sharpening videos. Just going back and forth until I have a very even edge, and you know, keep a minimal burr. I try not to form a huge burr. The 1084 formed a burr very quickly. The whole process, I think, took me about 18 minutes roughly, and I took my time with it. The video, for your guys' sake, obviously is sped up, and any like dead time of me like cleaning up the stone or whatever, that I didn't show just because it's all like wasted time. But for you guys, it's about an 8-minute video, so it took me about twice that length to or twice that amount of time to actually do, you know, real time sharpening. Still 15 minutes, 18 minutes is pretty quick. Again, taking my time. The shape of the knife, it has probably about a 60 to 70% straight line in the heel to that 60 to 70% mark toward the tip. Then the last about 30 to 40% of the blade has a steep curve to it. So you'll see as I make my way to the tip, I do have to raise the knife quite a bit to get up to that tip. It has a really nice distal taper on it, so it was pretty easy to sharpen. The 1000 grit stone sharpened sharpened the 1084 up really nicely. The 500 as well, but you know, Shapton glass, they're always really consistent. The Kramer with different steels acts differently. Like the 01 tool steel, it shed a little bit more grit. This 1084, it didn't shed as much grit. So I think, you know, I think just the way that the steel responded to it and the pressure that I applied, I think I applied more pressure with the plain blade, which in turn shed more grit. And that was the 01 tool steel. The 1084 knife, I didn't put much pressure because you don't really need to, and I wanted to try to minimize any chance of, you know, folding the edge over and making more work for myself. To deburr, I did pull the knife 3 times through end grain of Poplar. That was the easiest way to remove any little bits of burr, and then you know, you can go back to the strop like 2 or 3 quick passes, but just right after pulling the knife through the Poplar, it was cutting through paper towel. I did have a couple little snags, but for the most, right after deburring with the Poplar, it was going through paper towel. So after cleaning it up with the green chromium oxide, the edge just really, you know, popped nicely. I do suspect if I went to CBN or diamond emulsion, I would have gotten even nicer edge. I'll probably do another video showing that with, you know, like putting a different edge on and using different stropping abrasives, but I think I can get a really nice edge with this knife, and it took a fantastic edge to begin with, but I think I can get an even better one. It just wiped hairs right off my hand, and if you look closely, you can see I'm just holding the knife with 2 fingers, so it's just the weight of the blade that's pushing the hair out, and it literally just like wiped them. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments or email me at iHeartKnives@yahoo.com. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.